the sevens, 77, good luck. Seven's meant to be a lucky number, so hoping tomorrow brings you all luck and everyone luck today. Hello everyone, welcome to the show. Just me today, just hanging out on Stream Street Day 77. The sun is shining outside. I can see some clouds. Looks like a nice day. I'm going to paint up a Lord of Change and talk to you guys. I'm just coming off the back of a game of Age of Sigmar on Tabletop Simulator with my good friend Benjamin Sava, and it was a doozy of a kicking. I've got loads of things to say about that game, but generally I'm just going to talk and chat and talk to the Twitch chat as we all turn up in the place. But hello, welcome. Thanks for joining me live. Thank you to everyone who listens to the podcast. Please stay hydrated. Just there you go. Take yourself a sip of whatever it is you might want to drink this day. So delicious. And then thank you to everyone that was on Patreon. Couldn't actually do it without you. So huge thank yous for being here. Anyway, so Monday, start of the week. It's looking. Hello, War Master. It's looking like a big week for 40k. Obviously, I've got the Not 40k show tomorrow, and we've got a very exciting guest actually on the 40k show on Thursday night. So I'm really looking forward to talking about the Mechanicum / Mechanicus. So that's going to be fun. And then obviously we've got the Age of Sigmar show tonight as well, which will also be a doozy. So generally a great week lined up, which I'm looking forward to. But in Warhammer terms, there's loads of exciting announcements. We're going to find out more and more about 9th edition this week. But we still, I don't know if anyone at this point is annoyed, there's still no Lumineth Realm Lords announcements. We still don't know when they're coming out. And they were announced and showcased at LVO, which was all the way back in January. Actually, beginning of February, so I'm going to be painting up this Lord of Change because they're just super cool. They're very fun. Actually, really happy I've got this model, so I'm looking forward to it. Hello, Colonel Cabbage, how you doing? Undead Bed, how are you? No, I'm not painting up a Bloodthirster. I am, in fact, painting up one of these noble, that's the only way I can describe it, noble Lords of Change. They're actually some really sweet models. I actually am painting a model that doesn't turn up on a green screen, which is a disaster if you guys joined me for it yesterday. So I'm just going to keep painting away and just make some Smorgan, your Bloodthirster play was a fucking disgrace. I know. I also realised, Smorgan, you said you come and do some commentary with me at the weekend and I didn't message you and I forgot. So I'm just the worst person all across the board. Let's be honest. Charge the that big balls up the guts. Smogs, if you want to come on the chat right now and tell me how I did wrong, I'm all for it. Happily. Actually doing the hobby for the first time in months. Well done, Deviant the Mortal. Captain Andrew, what up? Hello, Plymouth Troll Slayers. Big up to our man Adam Mumford. So thanks for the inspiration. No problem. I hope we can be inspiring. That's the point. I hope you're all staying well and are well. Oh, Serbitor, thanks for subscribing. Love you too, brother. You guys are great. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think I could have played the Bloodthirster game was fun on Friday, but again, matchup dependent. I mean, how does that Bloodthirster beat anything? It's just awful. Versus Phoenix Guard and or Gotrek. He lose every day. Whereas today's game, oh my god. I'm just in the Gloomspite Gits chat talking to all my fellow Gits now. Can I read a quote out? This is a great quote. I'm going to read this quote out in the Gloomspite Gits chat. I said, dudes, I struggled a lot with my my Gits. Maybe you can help me out. What do you think I was doing wrong? And this is just a great quote. The list was there, talking about the list I played today. You've got to rely on the Squiggler, hope your charges are high on the Bounders, and Mangler, and hope they don't whiff. There's a lot of hope. What I think about the baby Lord is that the baby Lord of Change is the best for the 5+ bubble character. Yeah, that's what I went with originally at the start of So last week I played Legion of Chaos Ascendant and was enjoying that experience. And definitely, I feel like I learned a lot about the army. I feel like the right way is to have a lot of change in your army, so you can keep summoning pink horrors over the turn, and then move on to the battery. And then as I moved on in time, I was like, actually, it's super like it's game winning if you can summon those pink horrors. So I switched up to being able to summon them on a 9, not a 10. Which I enjoyed. Jonah Alibi, who won breakfast, it was the Ideth Deepkin, which are just bullshit, aren't they? Just the rules. I know we're like 2.5 years in, or 3 years almost, for that book, but like it was really like Colonel Cabbage in the chat said at one point, he was like, "You have to win by turn 3, otherwise the Ideth win," and I was like, yes, I hadn't ever thought of it like that. And the more you think about it, you think the fact that their army is all army-wide, always strikes first, is just so obnoxious. Like every unit, the whole army, not one, not two, all of them. It's just wild. Hello, Pete Pratt. How you doing? Thank you for talking to me a little bit about the Gits game earlier. Struggling. Me and Benjamin spent like 30 minutes after the game talking it through, talking about the different elements. I definitely think there are ways I could have played the game better. No arguments from me there. I think some decisions that weren't right. But I also think that there's almost no way to win that game against Ideth Deepkin, which is just wild. Hello, Balchode. Hope you're well. I hope you're all well. How are you all doing? John Phipps, just painting up an Imperial Guard tank commander. Shout out to those absolute heroes at Anvil Industries who sent me the heads with some military turbans. Give my Imperial Guard a Seek theme. Yes, John Phipps. That's nice. You're going to be seeking all over the place. It'll be great fun. Captain Andrew, unless they're being a character that flips the tide and fights first on round 2. Yes, Captain Andrew, that's right. Unless they fight on round 2, you have to beat them by round 3 or round 2. So, almost how it was against Slanesh on a 2+, your opponent strikes the army. Yeah, it's just, no disrespect to Benjamin, I think he's wonderful, and I love playing against the army because it's a tactical challenge, don't get me wrong. And I was like, and writing the Squigs list last night, it's really interesting when you write lists because you have to kind of like feel out how the army plays. And so I was like, I'm just going to get this psycho Mangler Squig, and I'm just going to basically use him like a missile, just throw him up the board behind like a castle and just like woof, throw him up the board. But the problem is even when he got there today, he just didn't do enough damage, and I don't think he ever will enough damage. And not then you stick cogs on him. Okay, I've stuck cogs on him. Then you cast a spell, and you've used a command ability. So I'm using the points cost of a wizard. I'm using the command ability of a unit, and of a character. And I'm taking cogs, so I'm spending like nearly 300 points plus a CP to make a 280 point unit better. In fact, not even better in combat, just faster. Just faster so they can get there. That's all I'm actually really doing. And that's if I haven't taken a battalion to reroll the movement, which is 180 points. So now I'm spending 500 points to make a 300 point character better. There's just no way that that's a good return on investment. You ROI specialists out there, you're gonna be like, nah, Rob, that's not the one. That is not the one. So I'm gonna go back to it. I think I might spend the week just trying to sling that idiot at people. That might be my plan, but I don't think it's gonna be good Warhammer for you guys to watch. But we'll see. You have to take a ton of Nomati to do that in turn 2, says Scott B. Once Wargamer, the exception is if they yes, Captain Andrew, it's not the best as you need 2 rounds to set up third round. If you flip wave, it's hard to set up in 1 round and risky stress for your all. All right, Lee Bromley, hope you're well. Senzor, so it's a squig, so that makes it fun. I think you could design better rules to make it fun, right? And if we want to just wish list a moment, because I'm up for it. And I saw my man Sam talking about exactly that with the Eels on Twitter, and we talked about. But if we wanted to make those squigs seem more scary, is give them the random movement, and then just make them like glass cannons. Make them do loads of damage when they charge, and when they get hit back, they fall over. Like, make it so that makes sense. That bounding into combat is really, really good. But yeah. Who are you using for Battle Breakfast this week? So Squigs, the Twitter voted for Squigs. So about 200 sadists voted for Squigs through the week. But I had a really fun Underguts list. If you guys are interested in that. Furor, wouldn't Gobblepalooza plus 60-60 Stabbers, Loon King, Loon Boss be better than Squigs? Furor, yeah, it would be. It's not the case. So, Furor, like, I'm sure, I hope you've tuned into the channel before, and if you haven't, or if you're fairly new, obviously I have been to a lot of tournaments, and I do a lot of tournament coverage all around the world. So I've seen, and my very good friend Nathan Prescott also plays Gits as well. So, like, I've seen and I know how a bunch of Gits are really good. I've seen them play in Australia. I've seen them play in Sweden. I've seen them play in America and Canada. So, like, I know like what the game state is for the Gloomspite Gits book. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Everyone else was just like, try and play with Gloomspite on a Twitter thread, which is not the one. So, like, I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm just saying I've had a lot of experience. That's all I'm trying to say. So, like, I understand that I could run a lot of Gits, but that's not really the purpose of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to explore different stuff. And maybe even just talk about it so you guys get that relevant experience. You're seeing someone play with it and you're like, oh, okay, like, I can see where the issues are there. I can see how that doesn't compare to, let's say, Eels or Juggernauts, or I'm trying to think of like some really fast cav units that Skyfires. I mean, look at Skyfires, 200 points. Like, let's compare 3 Skyfires to 10 Boingrot Bounders. So 10 Boingrot Bounders is 20 wounds with they're the same points cost, right? Or Kurnoth Hunters. The Kurnoth Hunters is another great one, 200 points. Like, the Kurnoth Hunters, I think, actually the worst of all those 3. But you end up with 20 wounds on the Boingrot Bounders, but they move 2d6. So on average, they move 7 inches, whereas Skyfires move 16 inches. Yeah, Skyfires have got a shooting attack, which is additional 24 inches. Boingrot Bounders have got none. The Skyfires are, though, only 12 wounds with a 5-up save. So the equivalence there is that obviously you've got a lot more wounds, and they're not as survivable. But then in combat, they reroll to hit if they go first, and they reroll to wound. Boingrot Bounders get +1 to their damage, and they hit on +1 to their wound, and they hit on 4s. And again, random movement. Their bravery is really low. There's almost no way to make them better. It's just wild. They're just bad. Like, for their points, they're just bad. I'd love to know what everyone else in the chat thinks. Better does not equal better play experience. That's true. It was fun. When I rolled to get those guys going, they should get loads of impact hits, Lee. I agree with that. I think they definitely should get impact hits. Plymouth Troll Slayer, just play Seraphon. I really like you. You are, like, antagonistic forever, and, like, fucking sing to me in my heart. Squigs are great, right? No. Do we get to decide what Terral Army you're playing next week? No, I'm already going to play Chaos next week. I've got a really fun Chaos list if you guys are interested in hearing it for next week. So there's a really cool thing in Chaos with the where you take the Varangard. I'll go and find it for you. Here we go. I'm going to get the rule exactly, because this is a fun thing. This will be next week, and I'll tell you about what I was also going to run for Underguts this week as well. I think in the future I'm going to pick the armies because, like, I've got relevant experience and I know what I'm trying to show people. Right? Does that make sense? Anyway, let me tell you about this cool ability. So the Knights of the Empty Throne have got a command ability called the Unmatched Conquerors. Big shout out to my man Joe Pagano for talking to me about this. Yeah, this is the one, right? So it's at the end of the charge phase. You pick an enemy within 12 inches of an Empty Throne hero, and it controls that controls an objective. So you pick a unit. Let's pick 6 eels as an example, because we played those today. And you would roll 1 dice for each one in the unit, right? Every 3+, I would reduce how many they controlled that objective by. So let's say there were 6. On average, I should reduce it by 4. So now they only count as having two units on the objective. So I want to build an army next week around that. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, when you look at the Knights of Empty Throne, because you can take Varangard as your general, you think that's what I'll do, but Varangard pretty much crap. So what you do is you take a couple of Lords on Karkadrak, you take some Marauders, you basically take a regular Slaves to Darkness army that's good, and then what you do is you take Harpies. Now Harpies have got a really Harpies have got a really fun ability where they are skinks, basically, if that makes sense. So they can charge and they can retreat. So the fun mechanic that I'm going to try and make happen next week is I am going to charge, because this happens in the charge phase, FYI. Yeah. So what you do is you charge in with a unit of Harpies. You then use the command ability from a hero who's behind them, who's not even engaged in combat, and then you run away and you cap the objective without even fighting the unit. So it's a fun little way of like tricking people by taking objectives off them. It's a bit like what we saw with me and Benjamin today, where you put a unit out and then you try and you trade off objectives, but this is trading off without even engaging. Anyway, I'm going to play that next week. That looks really fun. So I'm going to try that next week. And I don't know if anyone out there has got that. If anyone think let me tell you what anyone thinks. What does anyone think of that? That's what I'd like to know. Yeah, I don't know if the Twitch chat is working. I think it is. I'm just talking to myself at the moment. Do we get to decide what terror army you get next week? Vanguard suck. Yeah, they do. 6 Stonehorn army. No way. Pick the trash armies. I'm never picking the trash armies. The command ability requires you to choose a unit that control an objective, and I think in the core rules players do control an objective. No, units hold control an objective, not players. That doesn't work. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in there. Like, a player doesn't control the objective, the unit controls the objective. So you just take the unit off the objective. So it works. Yeah, Jonah, Alibi, I forgot Harpies exist. Yeah, and Harpies are awesome. They're not crazy expensive, but what I mean is it's a fun mechanic that you don't even need to you don't need to build stuff around it. Like, that command ability is really the reason. You know, you could build like a Chaos Lord on Manticore, you could build a Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, you could build any of those fun units, and what you could do, like heroes, and then you could throw 40 Marauders, and then go fight on the objective in the attrition. But that command ability might mean that you just win, even if you don't end up killing the unit, right? So I think that's damn good. And Harpies, because they can run off the objectives as well, they could engage in loads of other ways. Also, it doesn't say you can't do it more than once. So you could do it from different Chaos Lords on different units at different objectives, and you could just keep scoring. It's just going to be really good. Okay, genuine question. Would you play 5 Thirst of Baleful Lords list as one of these morning games thing? Yes, Undead Ben, I 100% will play you. JP Stevens, play some Stormcast, Rob. New meta. No, thank you. Thank you, JP. Not until the new book. Needs more Stegodon. Stephen, tell me how your Stegodons have been going on. You've been using 7 Stegodons, is that right? That's a list that's been going on. I love how excited the TTS players are. They're like, yes, big stabber meta. Like, Stegodon meta, this is all we're doing all day. And I'll blow you up my trees. All right, we'll all play. Let's all play. If you all want to play the Skigs, I'll get you all out of the way this week, because I can't be arsed with you. You can just keep beating up Squigs all week. Not play versus me. Use the list yourself versus guests. Okay, yeah, I could do that, Undead Ben. I've got probably this week's army and next week's army lined up, but I could make it the week after, if that helps you out. We'll try and sort it out. So Furore says, at the end of each player's turn, you must check to see if either player has gained control of objectives. To do so, your opponent must count on the number of models you have within 6 in the center of the objective. You gain control of the objective where your count is higher than your opponent's count. Once you gain control of the objective, it remains under your player's control until the enemy is able to control it. Yes, you do that, though, through the unit. Even though later on in that sentence, Furore, it says that you're going back to the word player, you're still doing it through unit. So you count up using the command ability, reduces how many models are effective for that ability. Like, the command ability is not a command ability that doesn't work. It 100% works, I promise you. The Mighty Dispossessed. I beat 18 Bo Kurnos last night. He brought the shooting to kill my slan. 2 turtles, it's not a list. What up, Archie? What up, Archie? Love you as well. Stephen, we should play on TTS on the Battle Breakfast. Drop me a message, man. I'd love to play against that nightmare situation. All right, I'll tell you about the other list I was going to run this week. Hold on. Where's my list? There we go. So my other list was my Underguts list, which I would like to play. I might just give up on the fucking Squigs today, to be honest, and just carry Underguts all week. Anyway, I've got a Tyrant, I've got a Butcher, and I've got a Frostlord on Stonehorn. And then I've got 2 lots of 60 Nobblers, because we need to talk about the fact that 60 Nobblars are 270 points. That's 60 wounds, and you can make them immune to Battle Shock. 60 wounds for 270 points is wild. I used to say that Marauders were amazing. Like, this is the old Slaves to Darkness, when they were 40 wounds for 200 points. But this is just... Anyway, this is really great. 270 points for 60 wounds. 3 lots of 2 Lead Belchers. This is in Underguts, and then 4 Iron Blasters. So you do 8 shots a turn from your Iron Blasters. You've got a Stonehorn to do some damage, and then you've got 120 wounds to go and grab objectives. Super fun army. Really looking... I'd rather see that. I think I might just change up, to be honest, because I think we're all going to just... We know the Squigs are going to lose. So I'd like... You guys are the Twitter people, whatever. You are the guys who watch all the time, so I'd really like you guys watch all the time, so I think I'd prefer your opinion than everyone else's opinion. Go Underguts. Are you sacking off the Squigs, Owen? Owen, the Squigs are so bad, man. The Squigs are so bad. I could play them all week, I guess. Like, Rob, I'll play with the Squigs against Underguts, and at least it'll still Squigs on the stream. All right, Pete, let's do that. If you got a mouse now, let's do it. Play the More Tribes list. All right. Okay. Yeah, Lee Bromley, love you. Thank you. Twitter peeps suck. Yeah, need more Nobblars. All right, let's do it. I think you guys have convinced me. Because that's just, I feel like there's something to say there. It's fun. It's got loads of threats. Like 4 Lead Belchers firing. Not Lead Belchers, sorry. Iron Blasters firing. 120 wounds. Stonehorn that flies in whenever it wants to and goes and beats stuff up. It's a fun list. Yes, Nikos, play the fatties. All right, I'm doing it. Oh, thanks, guys. Really giving me that emotional strength to 120 is not enough Nobblars. Ambiguous pair. I kind of agree. Like, I almost want to do like the 240 Nobblar build, which is only 1,000 points. You can still fit 2 Stonehorns in. You need some battle line though, but we'll talk about that later. Get a game tomorrow thinking of running Khorne Mortals with Nimyard's Rough Riders for a laugh. Okay, that's fun. That wasn't difficult to change your mind. I know, because I didn't want to play the Squigs originally. I should have just not let Twitter decide, I think, to be honest. Please defeat Rob with the Squigs. Hey, Tristan. What up? I hope you're staying well. Yeah. We will, if I lose to the Squigs, that would be the best bit. I think that would be great. So what's everyone else? I have a question. I have a question for everyone. Is what are you playing right now? What are you playing right now, or building right now, and what are you going to play? I think that's the question. I don't know. Yeah, that Underguts list is good, right? I haven't seen anyone run the Underguts. Like, my man Pa ran maybe Underguts, I don't think, at Sheffield Slaughter, but I'm well into that. I feel like I've got loads more legs than just trying to throw squigs at people. Big stabbers. I'm playing you this week, aren't I, Adam? That's happening. I brainstormed a list with a pal who's painted it 300 Nobblars, I think, and a Tyrant and a Hunter General. Off board as always, generated CP. Oh my god. Just finished painting Lotan, whether he'll ever be taken to a table. Scott Peters, no one plays. Lotan's 0 points in the game, I think. Scrap launchers versus Squadron list, one hero allowed. Fight me, 1v1. Yeah, boy, the big samples for your day. Okay. Big boy tree list that I was going to be my blowout list before I started City. Is going to run it on TTS for it. Yeah, come on. I want everyone's biggest meme list. We saw all of the chariots. If you didn't tune into the live coverage on Saturday, we saw 24 Scourge Runner chariots. Then we saw 18 salamanders and we saw 6 sharks. We also saw Mark Meermouse crushing it with 40 Blight Kings, I think. So Colonel Cabbage is still on the Beast of Chaos. OJ, I just had another great game with my corn slaves. Bought the start collecting yesterday. It's happening. Yes, Owen. Go on. Waiting patiently for Techlist and the Mighty Cows. I'm so sorry they're not out yet, man. That's sad. AOS Archie currently downloading TTS. Yes, Archie. Battlecho, build Skaven army slowly. Never want to build a clan rat again. I feel that. My idea for the list in upcoming tournament: Frostlord and Stonehorn with Ethereal Amulet and Metal Cruncher. Frostlord and Stonehorn with Brand. Svar and Clatterhorn. Huskard and Stonehorn with Old Granny Tooth, Lord of Beasts for Battle Line, 3 times Warmfang, and Stonehorn Beast Raiders for Battalion You're Bad. So yeah, for you all, we've seen this play quite a few times around the globe already. Particularly Sheffield Slaughter, we saw a lot of Stonehorns playing, which is a really good. It was a good experience seeing those Stonehorns on the tabletop. So that sounds very much on point. So it seems like you're in the right direction there with those more tribes. Joni Alibi's doing some Bulgors. That's rare. You don't hear that. Jay with too many hobbies. Double Dread Saurian is my meme list. Have you had any success with Double Dread Saurian? Like, surely Seraphon are just so good now. You can just put a Dread Saurian in anyway, and it doesn't matter. Just like, whatever. Like, T-Man Cash is working on a quote. What's worse, spam AOS or 40k? Nikos, that's actually a really good point. Honestly, like, what is worse? And I think, because obviously there's the rule of 3, that's a great question for the Twitch chat and everyone. Would everyone like to see a rule of 3 put in place for Age of Sigmar? And what I mean by that is, in 40k, you can only ever have the same War Scroll 3 times. So in this situation, you would only be able to have 3x. And how does everyone feel about that? I mean, I'm okay. I have a narrative flesh eater list uses Lessine the Gristlegore and 5 dragons. All 3 Guild Cavalry in Tempest Eye, all heroes on Griffins. Play Sabaton, everyone you charge. Okay, yeah, I'm into that. That's really good. All 3 Guild Cavalry. We saw that Deviant Immortal. If you actually want to go and look up the YouTube channel T Sports Network. So we do all of our live in-game coverage now from the T Sports Network. So Tabletop Sports Network. Go find that on YouTube. You'll actually see that exact list play on the tabletop. I don't know if you saw it play at the time, but our man Joe Purcell was running that in a game. And we saw it play on the tabletop twice to potentially do really well at the tournament. It worked really, really well. All the Pistoliers, all the Outriders. It was a really good list. Cole Jacinto. We're up 2 more Crushers and a Rogue Idol. Fill out battle line with whatever. You'll finish your games by turn 3. Come rain nor shine. Yeah, I'm into that. Yeah, Cole Jacinto. That's cool. I like that list. Toss my paint and pledge in the Discord. Thank you, Tristan. Can we see it? I think everyone can see it. Honestly, today, like I know normally I'm having guests in all week, by the way, so it won't just be me all week. I've just been working really hard on some video projects, so didn't get a guest today. Not that I think anyone. I don't know if any of you care, but it's whatever. I felt like I had to justify it then. I don't know why. Oh, yes! You're going to paint a pledge. Is that a Silver Surfer Caradron Overlord? Tristan. Oh my god. This is gorgeous. I'm well into that. Martin Orlando. Woo, boy. That is some pretty painting, my friend. That is some pretty painting. What wins? 520-point Dread Saurian or Pete Pratt and Scuttle Tide? I'm tempted to play just Sylvaneth and 4 Tree Lords and have a great time. Wouldn't stop eel spam, Mortek, or horror spam, says Warmaster. Okay, so talking about only having 3 of a unit. It wouldn't stop those, that's right. I really enjoyed watching the 40 Blight King list on Saturday, says Captain Andrew. What is it you liked about it? I guess is the real question. Colour Cabbage, absolutely not. Iron Jaws with rule limit of 3 limits the meme list, so he's not into that at all. Any good cities list? I play Tempest Eye with Hammer Hall and Prime, says Barbiconica. So any good city list? So there are some great ones already on the Honest Wargamer website. If you type in there and then just click Cities of Sigmar, you'll be able to see some great lists that are already available. I play Tempest Eye, but like Tempest Eye, a lot of shooting. So Bubble Boys, they're obviously really good. You could play Hammer Hall, you could play Phoenixes and Phoenix Guard. In both of those 2 armies, their ability to move faster, get +1 save is obviously huge as well. Hammer Hall is good for those because they get to strike twice. But you'll see a lot of those lists on the website. I don't think we need a rule of 3. Most people run big blocks anyway, wouldn't do shit. I think that's fair. I could be a guest, or I'm working. So that is an OOP Elf King. Okay, rule of 3 would cripple my already hobbled trees, as the battle showed. Oh yes, that's true. To be honest, I think the problem with some of the armies is the battle line. What do you mean by that, Warmaster? I think that's a great question. Rule of 3 would not work in AOS, and 40k drops do not matter as much in AOS. Rule of 3 limits armies with few tools and doesn't hit armies with many. I think that's also a really good point. I think that's fair. I'm not saying that it should be there. I just think Nikos was pointing out the fact that we've got a lot of spam lists. Maybe just because spam lists are really easy on Tabletop Simulator. I don't know if Stephen actually owns 7 Stegodons. I actually own 7 Stegodons, so I might build that list because that would be fun. Rule of 3 would be great. Armies like Fire Saves would get new models released just to get onto the table. Rule of 3, Dreadwoods, what up, my terrorist brother? Rule of 3 wouldn't stop people from taking horrid things like 3 Gaunt Summoners. No, it wouldn't. So it doesn't really have any impact, so I think those are all really good justifications. It's why I went for a couple of Basties closer to what I have. I need 1 more Stegodon. Alright, so you've almost got it. Oh, okay. Stephen might be able to put the list in the chat, but there is the ability to just run a lot of Stegodons. And that's really scary because they've got a lot of shots. I enjoy watching it play out in some private chats with the US players. We've been knocking the 40 Blight King list around. I think Paul was going to take it to Adepticon. Yeah, I think it's very good because it's just so many wounds. The only thing that it doesn't do well in a situation where you have a lot of bodies. But I don't know if there are many armies that put in lots of bodies on the board at the minute. You've got a lot of elite units or 2 wound units. So you've obviously got big stabbers, but by that bone splitters. I guess I can't really see many Mortek. Nah, but they're not. I don't have loads of bodies. Like your 60-man grot units can go in like womp an objective really well. If anyone, I actually think one of the things that might be cool on a Monday is to talk about the state of the game. I don't know if you guys would be interested in this. I could talk about what I think, or where I think the state of Age of Sigmar is at the moment, and what threats are out there in the world for you to think about in your army list writing. I don't know if anyone would be interested in that, but I thought that would be a fun thing I could do on a Monday. Is 7 Stegodons good? I don't think so. All right, let's go do some. Let's go do some research. Okay, so let's talk about the Stegodon. Let's talk about the lowly Stegodon. Right, so you got the Stegodon, Engine of the Gods, and the Skink Chief. But we're talking specifically about the Stegodon for a moment. Right, got 10 wounds with a 4-up save, so not super survivable. We do have a Discord. If you type !Discord in, and the thing that you're looking for here is the Sky Streak bow. It's got 24-inch range. Right, so the Stegodons move 8, so that's an effective. 30. I can't do maths. 32-inch range. They're also, thank you very much, they're 12 wounds in Thunder Lizards as well. Okay, so if you've got 7, that's 21 shots. hitting on threes. Now, if you had some sort of spell like the Bound Burning Head, that'd be hitting on threes, re-rolling ones, wound on threes, rend one, but doing a flat 3 damage, and they're doing it from 24 inches, which is that kind of mid-range threat. But if you do end up getting them into combat, then they're not terrible at that either, right? So they've got the Massive Horns, which do they do 4 damage initially with 2 attacks each, and then they've got 5 attacks with their Stomping Feet, which is another 2 damage apiece. So they're really good in combat. They're. I mean, imagine taking, so what is that? 3s and 3s, re-rolling 1s gets you 14, and then you re-roll 4 of those, so you get another 2 out, so you get 16, and then you only get a third of those. Maths makes that harder. You get about 10 wounding shots through, re-rolling 1s to hit. Reroll against a 4-up armor save means that a third are going to go, so we'll err on the side of caution and say 6 are going through. Against a 4-up armor save, those 7 Stegodons are doing 18 damage at 24 inches. I'm sorry, everyone. I think I've got the Rona. Obviously, I haven't as a joke, and I'm sorry for making a light-hearted joke about a really dark subject. My apologies. I have a dark sense of humour. There we go. +1 attack on the jaw in Coalesce 2. Yes! Yes, so I think they're good. Honestly, I think a couple of Stegodons are just good. Just a couple of Stegodons, but the Seraphon book's got so many, so many good units. Oh, I'm really sorry. So a question that's come in. Oh no, let me see. Honest Wargamer, the battle line like Eels, they have everything to build into their war scroll. So talking about battle line units, and they gain even better things from the book. Same with Horrors, they have it in their scroll, and adding things to them makes them better. Same with Mortek Guard, strong battle line for their points and command ability on the scroll, and book and heroes. I guess that's true. So anything that's got a weak battle line, I don't know. Oh my god. I mean, Stormcaster got a pretty shitty battle line. They don't do very well, do they? I think I'd have to look at that. I might actually do a little... I might just hit that up. Best battle line. Maybe we'll do that on the show tonight. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. What do you think about capping modifiers to better or worse than +1 or -1? I don't really think that needs to be in the game. I'm really, really sorry, everyone. I'm really struggling. Take a minute. Okay. What do they do in the movies when that happens? I don't know. Anyway. Okay. Whew, back on track. If I do die, I just want you all to know I've really enjoyed being with you, and you guys are the best. I don't think the +1 -1 that you see in Age of Sigmar would make a difference. I don't really care about it, to be honest. I think as long as 6 is always hit, I think it's fine. So I don't. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Owen. I didn't mean for it to get dark. What are your thoughts about the power level of Heathen Knights in the current state of Meta? Okay. All right, let's do. See you later, Archie. All right, let's do like an Age of Sigmar roundup, or where we think we are. We've obviously got. So where we are at the minute is we have the Lumineth and Sons of Behemoth on the way. Cool. They're on the way. We don't know how that's going to change, but we do know that when Teclis is going to come in, he has an incredible ability to cast and an incredible ability to stop people from doing spells. So let's jump there, go straight into the magic phase, and look at where the magic phase is at in Age of Sigmar at the minute. And the Age of Sigmar magic phase is really hampered because of possibly 3 things, and they're all new book releases. You've got Croak, and/or Slans, and/or Seraphon. They've got the ability to unbind board wide. They get pluses to unbind board wide, so you can't even do things from outside of range. So effectively, doing spells in Age of Sigmar because of Croak is almost impossible. So if your army is relying on spells, your army is already worse because of the existence of Croak, followed up by the existence of Nagash, who we quite often see inside Petrifex, specifically, OCR Bone Reapers. So the OCR Bone Reapers book has made a very good Nagash as well. Now you tend to see more Catacrosses than you do see Nagashes, but long story short, there's already good anti-magic. And then we get onto our Tzeentchian Kings, who also have got abilities to, like, if there's a lot of change on the board, they've got really strong abilities to unbind. They obviously can pick some Destiny dice. So out of all of the new book releases, and Slaves to Darkness also have got the ability to do loads of mortal wounds to your magic bunker if you happen to have one, because of the Darkfire Demon Rift. So the magic phase at the minute, and then this is off the back of Hallowheart from Cities of Sigmar also being in existence. But the magic phase has got far more deadly, and it's got a lot harder to engage with unless you've got +2, +3 to cast, or rerolls to cast or something. So the magic phase in Age of Sigmar right now is the top end of difficult, and if you can't engage with it, which is why when we talk about Benjamin Savaslift yesterday, or we talk about Idoneth as a whole, they don't do magic. They just don't get involved in the game. All of their points are in the game, on the table. So that's the state of play with Magic at the minute. If I think that is, but I would love to see if everyone thinks I've nailed that. I haven't thought about doing this, but I might do this every Monday. State of play, the Age of Sigmar state of play. That'd be fun. Stormcast do have a 300-point deadweight with 3x5 libs as battle line. See build list there. I think that's true. It's as the old ones intended. They are the Lords of Space and Time. Yes, they are the Lords of Space and Time. I think that's true. Khorne stock is rising. If you disagree, fight me. I'll be over here praying. That's a good point. Not only is Magic super hard so let's say you're playing, try and think of an army, Beast of Chaos, and you're like, I'm really relying on doing Devolve. Then you're probably not very popular. Gloomspite Gits, they've got pluses to cast, but not particularly loads, and they can make you minus to cast, but Gits are going to find it even harder. So we talked about today when I played that game, the Ragnarok build, playing with their +1 to cast, maybe. Like, you're not getting a spell off against Croak. Not really, I don't think, or you're less likely to, so that makes that army way less efficient, way less likely to be effective. Khorne, with their anti-magic and their ability to ignore stuff. So, like, no Myriad for OCR Bone Reapers. Khorne, with their ability to shut magic down, might be a more tempting option at the moment to shut things. Obviously, you've also got the Nulcidian icon for Fyreslayer, so they're just ignoring spells anyway. So Thundergore says, I think aggressive objective capping armies are the best by and large, especially durable, numerous, and strong battle line. So you see Pinks and Mortek doing well. I think that's fair. It feels like Destruction is the only Grand Alliance really suffering at the minute. I think that also seems fair. Judicators are the best Stormcast battle line unit. Changed my mind. I think Judicators are very good. I agree with that. Just wait until Teclis starts hitting the tables. Croak is screwed then. I think Croak is... No, I agree with you. But Teclis doesn't stop Croak, he just compounds the problem. Do you not think? And also, Teclis, unless Teclis can do all of his spells board wide, you still have got the ability to do a lot of spells from Croak or a Slann outside of range of Unbind. Where Croak is so powerful, and has affected the meta game of shooting, Magic, is that it's applied board wide. So I think that's the one. So Croak's only +2 on binds. That's if he's the one buff to cast from Constellation and one from his War Scroll. Ashloth only buffs casting. Few folks playing it wrong. Oh, thank you, Stephen. Okay, so maybe only +2 to the unbind. We'll find that out. As a lifelong Teclis player, fuck you. And the Trug Boss, yeah, that's right. That Trug Boss meta ignores spells on a 4+. So that's the state of play with Magic. Now let's talk about the state of play with shooting. Or maybe even just, we'll do bodies, because I think that's the really interesting thing. Bodies on the board, and we're not seeing lots of bodies on the board. Like, again, I know no one's playing worldwide. Okay, so I get that, right? But what we're talking about is Gits. Are we seeing blocks of 60 Gits? No. You know, Were we before the lockdown seeing Beasts of Chaos with 200 wounds on the board? Yes. Are we seeing 10 pinks? Yes. They're 10 wounds. Well, they're 10 bodies that turn into 50 wounds, but we're not seeing multiple lots of 10 pings. Like, do you know what I mean? No one's starting off with a ton of wounds on the board. A ton of models on the board. We are seeing people starting with a ton of wounds on the board. So if you take Bone Splitters as an example, that block of 30 Araboys is actually 60 wounds. So that's a lot harder to get through. But there was a point in Age of Sigmar about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where the wound cap was massive. It was like 150, 200. You were seeing blocks of Chaos Knights in Tzeentch. You were seeing all sorts. You were seeing loads and loads and loads of bodies. But I don't think you see that anymore, and the game generally feels like it's a little bit more elite. You don't even see the Seraphon players, that I know of anyway, running loads of blocks of skinks. You don't see like 40 skinks, 40 skinks, 40 skinks. You see like 10s, and then they take salamanders and croaks and bastillodons and whatever they might take. So you're not seeing tons of bodies. You're seeing fire slayers, but again, not lots of actual board presence on so what I'm trying to get at is you're not seeing actual physical models. You're not seeing like 200 plus models at the start of the game. And like you're seeing a lot less. And I think that's really interesting. Because that's normally the way you win the game, right? Go put bodies on the objective. It doesn't even matter if they're winning. There just has to be more of them. So we're just seeing what some people in the chat are saying. Tzeentch Marked, host of the Everchosen, is my personal counter to the Magic, says Captain Andrew. All right. Tzeentch Marked, host of the Everchosen. Okay. All right, I'll take that. I'm not kidding. 300 Noblar, immune to battle shot list is primed to take it all. Yeah, I like that. Hey, Jared Coots, hope you're well. A Seraphon fan, how do you feel about the book? Excited to have a good book or put off by becoming the bogey toad? No, I think I'm excited by the Seraphon book. I think what's nice about the Seraphon book is it's got lots of options, but it's clearly lots of the units are just too cheap. And I'm not saying they all need to go up 100 points, but some of the stuff needs to be looked at. I reckon the Bastillodon could be looked at. To go up points. Salamanders obviously need to be looked at to go up points. Croak obviously needs to be looked at to go up points. And I think those are some of the problem units there. You could do Skinks, probably. I'm not sure about Skinks, to be honest. But the Skinks you could do some really good stuff with. But I think there's only a few problem units that needs a points adjustment. Is where it is. I mean, they've got that board-wide teleport. If you look at what happened today, I had to cast a spell to teleport a unit X away. Seraphon can just pick any unit from anywhere and put it anywhere. That has to be baked into the points of all the units. Otherwise, it's just too good. Oh, some big stabbers. They've got some big stabbers in that. Oh, nice. Getting painted up there. I think the bodies is hard to do with TTS as well. I think that's fair, because obviously I'm talking about the TTS meta. I think powerful, reliable spells such as the Stellar Tempest, Infernal Flames, Elemental Cyclone is a huge issue in hindering the hordes. That's also a really, really good point. I think the ability to do that many Mortal Wounds to a horde is a big deal. And T-Man Cash says, wounds are now greater than models for sure. And I'd also agree with that. Like, I think that I think having the 300 grots that we just talked about isn't as effective as having those blocks of Bone Splitters with 2 wounds or Fire Slayers with 2 wounds. But they're still cheap enough that you get in block of 30. You're getting 30 of them, right? They're really, really... but they still take enough. You've got enough board presence, enough board space. Again, if you look at like the Eels game that we played today, or even some of the Seraphon builds, like I know that our man Matt Goddelsberg, when he was playing with his Seraphon build recently, he went really light on his backfield units, only taking a couple of units of 5 Saurus Guard, as opposed to like lots and lots of 10s of Skinks. And I think the Seraphon players could maybe end up doing better with a couple of blocks of 40 Skinks. I don't think I'd hate that. A lot of models mean that you'll never be accused of playing for time. That's fair. Also, crawlers are a real issue for those 5+ save battle line hordes. That's also true. As a Seraphon player, I'm loving the book. Been waiting a really long time to be on top, and I think that's fair. I agree. And if a tournament is with chaos clocks, it's very disadvantageous. Yes. If chess clocks are in effect, then yes, it's disadvantageous to play with all those bodies. Rush G, Rob, do you think we see more elite armies because the meta changes so quickly now and the elite armies are quicker and easier to get on the table? I think that we see more elite armies generally because of that ignoring the speed of book releases. I think the ability to just put down 4 Stonehorns, 4 Terrorgeists, those sorts of things is much easier than when you end up like all the guys that broke their balls painting 120 Plague Monks were having. I think most people stopped at like 40. Do you know what I mean? They were like 40, I'm done. Some people were like, I'll push it to 80. But once you start to get to the 120 range, you really were working hard. So I think a lot of it has got to do with just producing stuff anyway. I think. Seraphon Book has answers to everything, but finding the balance to 5-0 list with them will be where the good players stand out. And I agree with that as well. I think, so state of play, going back to that, wounds on the board. Let's talk about combat. Let's talk about actual output. And this is where the conversation gets, I think, really interesting. You don't have, from some of those big performers, output that can be put everywhere at the board at the same time. And what I mean by that is, and why maybe things like Bone Splitters I think actually could be good matchups into Seraphon, or maybe even Tzeentch, is that the output that you get from... So the Salamanders are really good. They've got some really amazing output. So do 40 Skinks. But as we saw in the game yesterday, where we saw Benjamin take all of his Idoneth, which there was quite a few wounds in the Idoneth army, but not loads of it. But he was able to put all of it on the front line of his opponent's army very, very, very quickly. And therefore, the Seraphon player didn't have enough output to take everything out that he had there. Mortek Guard are great in a fight. They're slow enough, though, that their output isn't constant, and you don't bring all of the Mortek to engage in one place. So output in Age of Sigmar at the minute isn't what it once was. You used to see, at certain points, you would see a lot of front-end damage. You know, you would see a lot of things thrown in and get all that damage out. And I don't think we're seeing the same level of output. It's a lot more mortal wound centric. It's a lot more focused. So I think we have less output. But I have no metric for that. But that's I'm trying to cite some examples there, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is, if you put a block of 60 dudes down who you know are going to be immune to Battle Shock, doing 60 damage is not something I'm seeing a lot of armies do at the minute. Maybe they do a horde clearance spell that gets rid of a third, and then they've got to do 40 wounds now. And you've got to start asking yourself what units are going to do that. Maybe some Salamanders can do that. That makes sense. Maybe some Skinks with rerolls, with mortal wounds, they could do it. And let's cycle back. Maybe Flamers could do it. From Tzeentch, let's go before that. KO. They're an interesting one. We'll have to come back to those, I think. Saves the Darkness. Marauders, they could probably do it. They could punch through, do that shots. Chaos Knights, maybe. Maybe they could do it. Mortek probably could do it. But it's pretty rare that you're going to be able to bring all of that into effect. Also, if you have 60 stabbers, not every model would be attacking, so it's not very cost efficient. That's true. I think things are just getting tankier. Last year, Witches on a 5-up, 5-up was hard to get through. It's because there's a lot more DPR. Is there a lot more DPR? So we've obviously had the Vermin Lords. They've been around for a while. They've got that 5-up DPR, which is really difficult to just shoot the characters because they're that much more survivable. Legion of the Chaos Ascendant got the ability to DPR up their army, which is quite useful. Seraphon don't really have access to a DPR. They've got the ability to summon and put some more wounds back, but they don't have access to a DPR. Tzeentch don't have access to a DPR, but they are -1 to hit. So there's an argument there for tankiness. Saurus Guard pass off to the Astrolith banner. Yes, okay. So there is ways to pass wounds off in the Seraphon book specifically. DPR defo increase and survivability in general. So do we all think survivability is increased? That's interesting. Do we not think output's reduced? That's what I think's happened. I think output has reduced. I think that you're not bringing everything to bear in one place at once. I think that's what's happening. Croca's DPR. Every army has at least one instance of DPR. That's true. every army does have access to it, but not board wide. What I'm talking about is like when we at one point there was 5 up death saves everywhere, and now we're not seeing that. Gristlegore Dragons still have the same output. Way more stuff can tank it though. I think way more stuff can do damage to the Gristlegore Dragons at range though. We actually now have some competent shooting into the midfield that can, like, I remember when so last year when Gristlegore came out, me and Nathan just rolled every sort of shooting attack we could think of to try and deal with them at range. But now we have some competent mid-range shooting. So Flamers, Salamanders, Bastiladon. Does I don't think Slaves have anything that's decent there. And then you've got KO. KO the interesting one. KO the interesting one as a state of a gameplay conversation. Because where do they fit? Like, they need a double turn always. Like, or they need it needs to go you go, I go. I think it's not that I'm saying KO are bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think KO, they do that shooting that we're talking about in the mid-range because they drop down and they do the shooting in the mid-range, which means if they get hit by something that's fast that can go get them, they're in a really tough spot. But the reduction in board presence that we're talking about, which I think is true, I think we are seeing less board presence, then you might see KO do better because they can get to stuff. The average save is 4+, where last year 4+ was a bit rarer, perhaps. I guess so. I mean, Skinks, like, to be honest, the Seraphon book is very armor heavy. There's more survivability in the Tzeentch book than there was in previous years because they're -1 to hit demons if they're in close combat. That's pretty good. I don't see where any more survivability really comes for Tzeentch. KO aren't as survivable. Slaves of Darkness are just good. They've got access to better abilities. I don't know where that's coming from. Yeah. Also saves a 3+, 4+ are common, whereas 4+, 5+ was more common. But that's not true because last edition we had Mystic Shield. So all of those 4+ saves were 3+ saves really. But we do, I guess, have more innate 4+ saves that are knocking around. I guess that's true. Survivability higher or output lower? That is a great question. I don't know. I can't wait. We'll come back to this next week on Monday, and then we'll revisit this. I think I'd like to do this every Monday. So if you guys, I might even set up a thread. So if you guys jump in the Discord, type in !Discord, and then we'll do like a round table. And I'll put up some topics. This will be really fun. We'll do this every Monday, state of the game, especially with new books coming in and how that might change the shape of the game. And it might be really useful for new players when we get back into Age of Sigmar. So they might be like, oh, okay, I was going to take a bunch of one-cast wizards with no buffs. That might not be smart. Nothing to worry about if there isn't anything left to worry about. Tzeentch can dish out -3 to hit, -1 to wound on a unit. Yes, the survivability via debuffs, definitely. I wish Bravery was still more of a thing. So many cool lists that could be taken. I think that Bravery is a thing, though, when it comes to... Bravery is a thing when it comes to being able to debuff it to do the shooting attacks that we've seen. But it isn't a thing, you're right, when it comes to the real game. All right, okay. This is cool. We're going to do this. We're going to do a Monday recap. Every Monday, we're going to come back and we're going to do a state of the game recap for Age of Sigmar. Really excited to do that with you guys. And if anyone is really interested in being a part of that conversation, or have got subjects that they think that they'd like to bring up, please message me on Twitter, probably at 6DiceSkills. That's the easiest way. So if you listen to the podcast, drop me a message there and give me a follow. I'll follow you back. I always do. And then anything you want to bring up and we'll talk about it. Obviously, without stats at the moment, this is probably going to be the healthiest way for us to have some decent conversations about the game. And then maybe even it'll work when stats come back as well. Big shout out to my man LLV. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you all. If there's anyone got any questions before I head off for the day, don't forget to join us tonight for the Age of Sigmar show with James and Nathan. We'll be talking battle line units. What's the best battle line unit in the game? Let's have that conversation. That'll be fun. That'll be really fun. Anyway, so let us know. Any questions? That was fun. I love talking to you guys. I guess I just talk at you guys, not really. I mean, I read it. Is that not talking? I don't know. Also, the world's just a bit shitty today, and I've been having a crappy couple of days. So I just want to say thank you to all of you, because actually talking to you guys is really, like, just is always great and always fills me with joy. So, and talking about Warhammer and actually being involved in the hobby and you guys making the hobby great is brilliant. So, massive shout out to you guys. Why didn't Chewbacca get a medal at the end of Star Wars? Because they're Wookiee racists. That's what they are. What's the list for tomorrow then? Owen, I'll send you the list right now. In fact, I'll send you all the lists right now. I'll just make it while we're here. So the list so far for tomorrow, I reckon, unless you don't want to play the Squigs, Owen. Like, if you want to play the Squigs, I'll just play with the Squigs, but the Squigs suck. No one wants me to play it. Nice Wargamer. I'll make the list now while I talk to you guys. Best movie ever, Rogue One. Oh, shut up. What hour do you start your stream? 7 p.m, sir. That's when we start. 7 p.m. BST. As a Pro Server player from way back, do you dislike them now? Says Cameron Richards. Nope, I don't dislike them now at all. Not at all. I think they're great. I think they've got loads of strengths. I think they've got big utility. I think they've got... Pterodons are great. Rippers are great. Almost all the units are good. They're just too cheap in some cases. I think even the Seraphon players would agree with that. That they could do with like a little bit of a points reduction. I don't think any of the rules... Oh, I don't want to say this without thinking it through. I can't think of any of the rules right now that I would arguably change. I don't think. So that's fair. I'm just writing this list for you guys. This is going to be so much fun to play. It'd be such a good army to paint as well, apart from obviously the Noblars. So this is going to be the Battle Breakfast list. I can't obviously talk and type at the same time. Underguts V1. There we go. So if you guys haven't written a list on the Honest Wargame website, you could do that. And then when you do that, you can edit the list as well, which is cool. You could do it via Edition. You could write guides for people. You can do all sorts. It's just, the more I'm using it, the more I'm happy about it. There we go. This is the list that I'll be playing. Tagged you on the list on Twitter to want to run see a place playing Khorne. Okay, thank you very much. Salamanders are fine as it is, but should have been made artillery so you can spam them, in my opinion. No, I think 2 units. They're too cheap. They should be 300 points. 100 points each. 100 points each, at least. And maybe reserves can come on. No, Azir still has Salamanders artillery. Hey, Rob, where can I find the Discord link, please? If you take exclamation mark Discord. Sorry, most of the commands only work on Twitch, but I'm just going to put it in the chat now. There you go. But yeah, if you guys want to be a part of that conversation, talk to me. All right. Been lovely. It's been lovely. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you. Join me tonight. Very, very excited to talk to you guys. Have a great day. Look after yourselves. Thank you so much. And I'll see you soon.